What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And as you can probably tell by the smile on my face, Chelsea have won the European Super Cup. We certainly didn't do it the easy way, going the distance against Villarreal, 1-1 after extra time, and winning 6-5 on penalties with an unlikely hero in Kepa Arrizabalaga. But before we get into all that, George, going with the starting lineup, I think myself and you were both surprised when we talked pre-match that we saw Trevor Chalobah included from the off. But I mean, otherwise, with the guys had been away at the Euros, the England lads, Jorginho, etc., it was pretty much what we could select given the limited pre-season that a lot of key players have had. So, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, we both spoke before the game, and I thought the lineup was a mixture of players that had the legs in pre-season, and I think he used the squad really well last night. I know we'll come on to it. We obviously went the full 120, and I think that eventually showed that the amount of quality that we had in the squad. And I still do believe we have one of the best squads in Europe. I'm not just saying in England. I think in Europe, in terms of the depth we have. Yeah, nice to see. I mean, Chalobah was absolutely fantastic. A lot of people's man of the match yesterday. I thought he had a superb match, and it was good to see some of it was just good to see us, the boys, back really. Same formation, some regulars in the side that always seem to perform. I mean, my man of the match personally was Kante. I think he was absolutely outstanding again in the middle of the park. And then we had the likely ones, Kovacic. Azpilicueta came on for a bit, so I was comfortable that we had enough on the pitch to do the job, and I think we have a great squad, so I was happy with the starting lineup.
And George, just going into that first half, obviously we kind of dominated the game, but again it seemed to be similar to Chelsea of old last season. A lot of the ball, but we didn't really do very much with it. Up until we scored, we didn't create a lot of clear-cut opportunities. As I said, we dominated possession, but the goal itself, I thought, was really well worked. Marcus Alonso playing in Kai Havertz. And the great thing about Havertz in this move was, getting his head up early. And to give credit to Timo Werner, he did make a near post run, which brought one of the defenders away to give Ziyech that space in the box. And, it was Havertz with the pullback, and Ziyech finishes it really well. And it was really good to see Ziyech. He's been really good in pre-season, probably his most consistent Chelsea form, getting his goal, looked like he was making things happen. Just how much of a disappointment is it then that he picked up that innocuous-looking shoulder injury? Looks like a dislocation to me. How disappointing is that, George? Not from just a Chelsea perspective, but for him personally as well. Yeah,
such a shame, because he's had such a good pre-season, scoring a lot of goals, and he got his one again yesterday, looked very bright. But then when he went down on the floor and it looked in agony on the camera close up, you sensed that it was probably a dislocation. And when he comes out of the tunnel in the second half with a sling on, doesn't look good. We'll obviously get an update from Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel, in due course, about how long he's going to be out for. But I think that's a real miss for Chelsea going forward. He would have been in my starting lineup actually for Saturday. He's been that good in pre-season, probably the brightest in the front three. Timo, again, disappointing. I think we even said it right at the goal, didn't we? The difference between how Havertz has developed compared to Timo Werner. I mean, Timo Werner makes the runs, and we know how important he is to that style of play that we have. But every time he seems to get in a dangerous position, he has his head down. He's not looking at who's arriving in the box. I know that could be sounding quite harsh, considering he had quite high numbers on the assists last season, but Havertz, as soon as he got the ball, he was looking up, got the ball across, and then Ziyech, when you're on form, those kind of chances, even though he scuffs it slightly, it goes in. So, yeah, the front three is going to be a bit of a problem now that Ziyech's out. But again, we've got enough danger in there. And actually, last night, just showed how much we are desperate for Lukaku to start. I mean, he'll bury some of the chances that we had when we were dominating in the early stages. The possession speaks for itself. They're on the back foot. We probably could have killed the game actually in the first half before they started to get back into it. So yeah, we're desperate for Lukaku, and it's a shame about Hakim Ziyech, but we wish him well.
Yeah, we really do need that focal point and top class finishing at the top end of the pitch. But George, for all that dominance in the first half, we were slightly fortunate, I'd say, to go into the break in the lead. Mendy with a great save from Dia, who was through one-on-one. and Moreno rattled the crossbar right on half time. But I don't know about you, but I do not know what happened at half time, because in that 15-minute break, we came out and we were all over the place. It was literally like a role reversal. Villarreal suddenly decided to turn up and we kind of checked out, it looked like. And, you know, you could just tell that the goal for them was coming. What do you think went wrong in that second half?
Well, we've got to remember it's pre-season, and a lot of those players are still looking for fitness. So that's got to be a factor in it, I think. You know, the legs in the squad, they need to get up to match speed, and mistakes are going to happen. And actually, what's important to note is we'd rather make those mistakes now and iron them out and rectify those than, you know, this being later on in the season where it's a Premier League game, we drop 2 points. Because effectively, we dropped 2 points tonight if this was a league match. And you'd probably look at the match overall and think Villarreal were actually unlucky not to win the game in 120, you'd have to say. Yeah, the second half we just, you know, poor balls, bit erratic, looked very, I don't know, just the communication seemed to break down. And I think Thomas Tuchel didn't make some of the changes that I was expecting. He left it fairly late to make some changes. And I was expecting to see Reece James, Ben Chilwell come on, as they didn't play many minutes at all. Well, Chilwell didn't play any minutes for England, and Reece James with the one game, so I was surprised there. And, you know, I just thought some of the changes could have been done a bit sooner. That's my only criticism of the game. But yeah, it's natural to happen. Villarreal are a decent side, but, you know, the important thing is that we got the result in the end, and you know, let's make those mistakes now.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree with that. Obviously, it would have been a lot more ideal to get the job done in the 90 minutes, given the Premier League season kicking off on Saturday. But I suppose a slight plus of the additional 30 would have been that the extra minutes that the likes of Mason Mount, Jorginho, etc., who haven't had hardly any pre-season minutes because of their involvement deep into the Euros, I think that's going to be a big plus for them to get those extra minutes in the legs. But George, moving on to the penalty shootout, what were your thoughts when you saw Kepa coming on a couple of minutes before the end for Mendy for that shootout? And I mean, I have to say, I was probably a little bit surprised, wasn't really expecting it, but you know, he turned out to be the hero, saving 2 penalty kicks, as ultimately won 6-5, despite Kai Havertz missing the opening penalty of the shootout. Just how pleased are you for Kepa? Because it's been really difficult for him in his Chelsea career so far. He's obviously a well-liked member of the squad. You could see that by the end, everyone was delighted. How big a moment for this is him in his Chelsea career?
Yeah, I can't tell you how pleased I am as a Chelsea fan for him. He's had such a difficult time at Chelsea. I still believe he's the better of the two in terms of his all-round goalkeeping ability. But, you know, Mendy has to be number one choice for reasons that we've seen last season. And it just shows the camaraderie in the team. And Thomas Tuchel, what a fantastic bit of man management to give him the platform to say, look, you know, I know you've had some ups and downs, but this is your chance to be a hero. And they've looked at it. I mean, it was planned. It was not a spontaneous thing where they thought, oh, well you know, Kepa might be a bit fresh. Let's give him some penalties as Mendy, you know, conceded a goal, might be a bit down. They've planned it. They've analysed it. He's made some important saves before from penalties. We saw it with the Frankfurt, the big one in the Europa League semi-final a couple of years ago. So yeah, what a moment for him. And you know, if you just tuned in, you know, right at the end, you'd say, oh, he's first choice goalkeeper by the looks of the reaction from the players. So such an important thing for him, and we are very privileged to have someone of that quality as a number 2, and someone he has been, you know, apart from that moment where he refused to come off, he's been very professional in his Chelsea career. And yeah, long may it continue. Fantastic bit of work, and he fully deserves that.
Yeah, I think everyone at the club is absolutely delighted for him. But ultimately, George, it was another trophy added to the cabinet. Cesar Azpilicueta becoming the second captain after, I believe, Gus Poyet, actually, to lift the European Super Cup. And Thomas Tuchel adds a second trophy in his reign to go alongside the Champions League. So it's a great start to the season, and hopefully we can add the Club World Cup to complete the set. And we now roll on to the Premier League season on Saturday against Crystal Palace. But that's just myself and George's thoughts on a successful European Super Cup victory. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. What did you think of the game? And we will catch you in the next one.